Hello, my name is Chaplain Antonio Ortiz. I'm here the Wing Chaplain of the 94th Airlift Wing, Dobbin Air Reserve Base. And today, I want to talk to you about moral injury. But first, I want to start with the mission of the Air Force Reserve Command. And the mission of the Air Force Reserve Command is to provide combat-ready forces to fly, fight, and win. And it's important about this mission statement is that it's not to provide forces that will train to be ready, but are forces that are already trained and ready to fly, fight, and win. And I also want to talk to you about the Chief of the Air Force strategic priorities. Priority number 1, prioritize strategic depth, accelerate readiness. The second priority is developing resilient leaders. And the third one, reforming the organization. Understanding and working with moral injury complies with the Chief of the Air Force strategic priorities of developing resilient leaders. So now let's start. What is moral injury? To understand moral injury, I want to go through a few definitions that will help one grasp the concept of what is moral injuries. Number 1, moral injury comes from having transgressed one basic moral identity and violated core moral beliefs. The second one, moral injury are wounds from having done something or failed to stop something that violates a person's moral code. Another definition of moral injury is when the person feels they did something unforgivable. Some systems don't make sense anymore, and the reason for living is lost. The last definition of moral injury that I want to discuss today is moral injury includes events such as engagement in or observation of betrayal, i.e. either by leadership failures, within rank violence, sexual assault, friendly fire, inability to prevent injury or death to others, war-related destruction, or the death of civilians or children. So when we look at it, moral injury has 3 main concepts. The first one, it's something that you did wrong. The second one is you saw or failed to stop something that was morally wrong. And the third one is betrayal by leadership by those who trust. Those persons suffering from moral injury is that they have the paradigm of what life should be, how life should run, how people should act broken and destroyed. Now the world is a chaos. Now the way they see life has been destroyed, the way they've been brought up. They feel lost and confused. So today, not only I want to show you about moral injury, I want to show you for you to be able to know what are the symptoms of moral injury. Why is this? Because if you understand the symptoms of moral injury, you'll be able to identify if you have this in yourself or in someone you love. So it's very important to understand the symptoms of moral injury so later on we can treat it with professional help. So let's go through a list of what are some of the symptoms of moral injury. Here are some of them. Guilt, shame, feeling of betrayal either by leadership, by supervisor, moral concerns, religious struggles, or sometimes it can be loss of religious faith or even hope because of what you've seen or done or did not prevent from happening. Loss of trust in the systems, in leaders, in yourself. Loss of meaning or purpose. Difficult forgiving and self-condemnation. So here's a list of some of the symptoms of moral injury. But there's another way to look at these symptoms. And I want to show you how does this look in people's life. For example, for some people with moral injury, sustaining intimate relationship outside his or her circle of veteran friends become almost impossible. You'll see that some military member, when they come back, they don't want to spend time with people outside the military. They just want to be back like in the old days and only being with military or veterans that understand what they went through, that understand what they saw. Other, they lost a will to live. They find no reason anymore for living. Others go to solitary confinement. What is this? This means that they come back and they don't want to go out anymore. They want to stay in their house. They want to stay in their apartment. They don't want to call friends. They don't call family members. Somehow they put themselves in these prisons of solitary confinement and they don't want to go out anymore and spend time with other humans. Then there is emotional and spiritual isolation. What does this mean? Well, let's say that you force somebody to go out. No, you've been in your apartment too long. Well, he or she will go out, but they will not talk about their feelings. They sometimes will not talk at all. Everything seems useless to them. So even though they're there, emotionally, mentally, they're not there. They don't want to talk. They don't want to express their feelings. Maybe they're afraid that if they start, they won't be able to stop and everybody will know their secret. So emotional and spiritual isolation is one of those. Next one, self-medication through alcohol or drugs. Sometimes the pain of moral injury, the distress, and not looking for help. They look help in the wrong ways. They'll self-medicate through alcohol. They'll self-medicate through drugs. They'll self-medicate through prescription medication. So it's very important when you see this, either in your life or somebody else's life, that you know there's something wrong and they need help. Remorse is another of those. They feel like unforgiving. Now, part of understanding the symptoms of moral injury is knowing how is it compared to PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. Many times the symptoms can be similar, so they can be misdiagnosed. Or sometimes they may have both. The military may have PTS, post-traumatic stress, and they can also have moral injury. And for the healing process to occur properly, they both have to be addressed. So first, let me see some of the symptoms that are shared by PTS, post-traumatic stress, and moral injury. Symptoms like anxiety and depression was one of the main symptoms that are compatible or that they share people that have moral injury and PTSD. So anxiety and depression. There's other ones that are less correlated, but they still sometimes have the same symptoms as physical disability, chronic pain, relationship problems, and social withdrawal. So here we see that many symptoms of post-traumatic stress is the same as moral injury. But there's a difference. And here's the difference. Dr. Coyne gave us a definition of what is the difference between PTS and moral injury. He says, PTSD is a trauma-based disorder characterized by clusters of symptoms that include re-experiencing, hyperarousal, avoidance, numbing, hypervigilance, while moral injury is a symptom characterized by psychological and religious or spiritual symptoms of inner conflict. So one is fear-based, PTSD, or by symptoms, and the other one is more a moral or an inner conflict of religious, spiritual, or moral. So it's very important to understand that you can have moral injury and have no faith at all. But the way they brought you up, what they taught you was right or wrong, that was broken in your time of deployment or war. Dr. Coyne made a study with 427 veterans that were diagnosed with PTSD. And in the study, he also made a questionnaire about moral injury. They were also suffering from moral injury. And there were three main results that he got from that study. and they were very interesting. The first one was the highest score item for moral injury was the loss of trust or feeling of betrayal by leaders one trusted. So of all these people, what the highest score they raised for moral injury, what gave them or what it made them experience moral injury the most was the loss of trust or feeling of betrayal by leaders once trusted. This is very interesting. This reminds me about the statistic of female and sexual trauma or assault in our military. In Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom, 44% of women reported harassment and 33% reported assault while deployed. So it's very interesting that some of these women, when they asked them what was your biggest fear, they said the fear of sexual assault is higher than being killed in combat. So here we see that sometimes betrayal of leaders once trusted is one of the most important things that we have to take care of because they will cause moral injury in our military members. The second one was the younger the military member, the higher the score. And we can ask, why is this? Why the younger the military member, the more propensity it will have for moral injury? And one of the reasons maybe is because of coping skills are less developed than those adults. Every time more we have younger and younger military members that join our ranks. And some of them have never been even out of their hometown when they joined the military. So now we have to, it's important that we train our young military member to be careful and know the effects of moral injury and helping them in their coping skills when they have to deal with death, when they have to deal with destructions, and when they get deployed or they have to go to war. So the next question is how to heal moral injury. We already discussed some of the consequences or symptoms of moral injury. Now we're going to discuss how to heal moral injury. So first, recognition that moral injury occurred and that it will be a lifelong commitment to healing. So the first thing to heal moral injury is you have to know that you have it. You have to know that it's affecting your life. You have to understand the symptoms. I remember when I was deployed to Afghanistan. Part of my job is to prepare people that are coming back home from Afghanistan, be the Army, Air Force, Navy. And I had to prepare them to what to expect in reintegration back into society. And I also remember telling them this. When you get home, you've changed. This 6 months, even if you haven't noticed it, you changed. And when you get home, you may not have noticed the change, but the people around you will notice the change. So when your wife is telling you, hey, you're short-tempered, you're getting mad easily, we can't even talk to you, we're scared how you're going to react. Listen to them. Because the people you love, either your husband or wife, kids, loved ones, they will let you know that there's something wrong. They will be able to see the symptoms. So the same happened to me. I got home. The first week was great. No problems. But then the second week, third, fourth, and fifth, things were trying to irritate me. Little things like, okay, I worked all day at work at 8. Now I got to come home. We got to work with the kids. We got to work with the kitchen. And then by the time you go, you don't have no time for yourself. Because over there, when you're deployed, you work 12 hours, but then 12 hours, it's all you. You can do whatever you want. But here, I was getting short-tempered. I wasn't myself. And I didn't recognize it. And my wife would tell me, I said, no, that's not true. The same thing that I was teaching others, it was happening to me. So it's very important that sometimes when we come back from deployments, you don't realize you've changed, but you have to rely on the people that love you to recognize. So first, you have to recognize that moral injury has occurred, and there'll be a lifelong commitment for healing. Second was self-compassion. Why do I say this? We have some military members that think they're not worthy of help. that I'm not worthy to waste the time or have to talk to a chaplain, talk to medical help. Let me tell you something. We are all worthy of help. You have to understand that you gave a service to your country, and now your country owes you back. They owe you back to help you reintegrate back again. They owe you back to help you get healed again and make you whole. So let me tell you, many people do not look for help because they don't feel they're worth it. They don't have self-compassion. I'm here to tell you we have a whole team of people that are willing to help. So the first thing is to recognize that you have it. The second one is look for help. Have self-compassion. You are worthy of being helped and being part of a community. The third one is friendship. You know, a friend is a powerful healer. And let me talk to the friend at this moment, not the military member. When a military member comes to you and they want to talk, they don't want you to minimize their pain or minimize what happened. Or sometimes they don't want you to say, hey, I know you feel bad for what happened or what you did, but you were following orders, you were obeying, you're working for your country, you're defending your country. All that may be true, but that doesn't help. You know what helps? It's listening. It's holding their hand and walking through whatever hell they have to go through these hard times, and being with them and listening to their story. Now that helps, and that's how you can be a friend. Again, it's not minimizing their pain or minimizing what happened. It's about listening and be there with them, holding their hand in these dark times that they may be going through. Of other people that have gone through moral injury, they have said that friends that were there just to listen and hold their hand was one of the major areas that helped them heal and overcome moral injury. Another is reintegration into the community. People with moral injury sometimes feel that they're not worth going back to the community. They've done something so wrong as humans that they shouldn't come back or be part of our community. But here's one thing that I want to say about that. It was the U.S. community that sends our men and women into battle. So it's that same community that have to receive them back and love them and help them in their healing path. So there's two communities that we can say. There is the religious community. The religious community is a part that will create safe spaces that will help our military members overcome and work through their moral injury. It's in the religious community that those who are religious that will have a time to talk to God, to wrestle with God, to ask forgiveness, to ask guidance, to ask for a new purpose. So it's very important that those open arms of that religious community are there, no matter what religion they may be. And also some religious rites helps heal moral injury that they offer. For example, in my Christian tradition, we have communion. Communion is where we share the bread and the juice that represent the blood and body of our faith, Jesus Christ, that died for our sins. It also represents how we can have union back with God and with community. That's what communion or the Lord's Supper is for us. It's a reminder that we have communion, that we are united with our God and with each other as a community. So there's other rites in other religions that can help them unite back to the union. We have community at large, holding them back, getting them back part, and making them as if they never left, and loving them back again. So there's reintegration into the community. Then, also other things that have helped to heal moral injury is the sense of renewed purpose and service in life. Many people have overcome moral injury. They found a new purpose in life, either in their faith or in serving others. Others have joined VA as a volunteer to help other veterans that are going through moral injury. Others have helped other organizations. So finding a new sense of purpose and service have helped people overcome moral injuries. Group therapy with other veterans. Dr. Shea, he says that having a safe space for a professional, for other veterans to come and share their story, is healing in itself. When veterans can say and share their story with other veterans that have gone through the same thing and understand what they're going through, Dr. Shea say in those moments they are healing. So looking for help with a professional counselor in a group therapy, it's also one of the ways that have showed that have helped people come and overcome moral injury. There's also individual counseling with professionals. That's also have helped people with moral injury. And then there's another one, is humanizing the other side. At the end of the day, we're all humans. We all suffer the same. We all have families and friends. So let us not forget we all belong to the human race. And let us not forget that we are fathers, we're all children, we're all brothers and sisters. But I want to also say this. What is the future of moral injury? Why should we care about moral injury? In the document Accelerate, Change, or Lose by our Chief of the Air Force, General Charles Q. Brown Jr., he states, tomorrow's airmen are more likely to fight in highly contested environments and must be prepared to fight through combat attrition rates and risks to the nation that are more akin to World War II era than the uncontested environments to which we have since become accustomed. As the U.S. prepare for peer-to-peer competition, it may be times that there'll be strong wars with a lot of risk, with a lot of death. So part of preparing our young men and women, part of preparing military is to prepare them not also in weaponry, but is to prepare them mentally and emotionally. And this is where moral injury comes. We want them to be aware even before they're deployed. So in case this happens, they know how to get help. So I want to finish with video with some of the helping agencies that are out there. In case you find yourself or somebody you love that are suffering from moral injury. First, there are the chaplains. Please know that here in the 94th Airlift Wing, we have 5 chaplains and 2 religious affairs airmen that are here to help you. We have 1 chaplain that is full-time, that is me, and also 1 that is Senior Master Sergeant DeVoe. We're here for you. And our number is 678-655-2427. We also have the Director of Psychological Health. The number is 678-217-2069. We also have the Airmen and Family Readiness Center. And their number is 678-655-5005. And the last resources I want to give is the Military One Source. They're also open 24 hours a day. You can call them at 1-800-342-9647. Again, I want to thank you for spending this time in understanding moral injury to better prepare and to better serve our military members. Thank you and good night.